Good morning. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. I found something from Neville Goddard that is so interesting. I want you to listen to this, and then I want to talk about the power of assumption. Neville Goddard said, "There was a time when I believed I had to chase everything I wanted. I thought I had to struggle for success, convince people to love me, force opportunities to appear, and constantly worry about whether my desires would ever become reality. Then I discovered something that changed my life forever. I realized that what belongs to me never has to be chased. The moment I changed within, my world began to change around me. Now I understand that I am not here to pursue my dreams. I'm here to become the version of myself who already possesses them. When I assume that I am already successful, life responds by bringing success to me. When I assume that I am already loved, love naturally finds me. When I assume that abundance is already mine, opportunities appear in ways I never expected. I no longer wake up wondering if today will be my lucky day. Every day is my lucky day because I have already accepted that I am blessed. I no longer beg life for what I desire. I simply become the person who already has it. My imagination is my greatest gift, and when I close my eyes and experience my wish as already fulfilled, I plant a seed that cannot fail to grow. There is no anxiety, there is no depression, there is only quiet confidence. I trust that everything I have imagined is already making its way into my experience. I do not chase money. Money comes to me because I believe I am valuable. I do not chase opportunities. The right opportunities naturally appear before me. I do not chase happiness. Happiness begins within me and overflows into every part of my life. Every day I remind myself that I already possess the qualities needed for the life I desire: peace, confidence, abundance, health, love, joy. I choose these states now instead of waiting for the world to give me. The outer world is simply reflecting what I have already accepted within. So today, I release all striving. I release fear. I release doubt. I release the need to force anything. I rest in the certainty that what I have accepted in consciousness must appear in my world. Everything I desire is already on its way. I receive with gratitude. I receive with confidence. I receive with faith because I no longer chase. I simply become, and life responds beautifully. Isn't that beautiful? Stop chasing, stop pursuing, stop worrying and doubting. Just assume the wish fulfilled. Believe that You already are valuable and money pours into your life. Believe that you are already happy and you experience happiness. I wonder if that's where, when Neville Goddard started speaking this way, I think it was around 1924, 1930, something like that. And people were so black and white, and you have to work hard. And if you're not working hard, you're worthless, you're lazy. I wonder if that's where the word assume was broken down into when you assume, you make an ass of you and me. Because when he assumed happiness and joy and love and wealth, he used his imagination. In those days, I imagine that people would have scoffed at him. They would have said he was crazy. They would have said he's living in a dream world. And what color are the clouds in your life? There would have been all kinds of ridicule. But think of how you use your imagination. Let's change the word assume to expect. Do you expect that today is Monday and it's going to be hard? Today is Monday and it's going to be a long week? Do you expect that there's going to be a stack of work waiting for you when you get to the office? That's how I used to live. I used to hit my snooze and try and get a little more sleep, a little more sleep, a little more sleep, and then I'd run late and run into the office exhausted, expecting there to be a ton of work sitting on my desk, and there was. I expected the day was going to be hard and long, and it was. I expected that people would phone and leave nasty voicemail messages and demand my attention, and that's what I got. I expected that I was going to work long, hard hours and come home exhausted, and I did. So, whether you say expect or assume, what you believe becomes your reality. What you think about, you bring about. What you behold, you become. What if you changed your expectations? What if you assumed, what if you expected the day would flow easily and effortlessly? Because when you get into the state of being happy and healthy, when you raise your energetic vibration, when you become lighter and happier and healthier and expect good to come to you, that's what you get. If you really, I don't think you really want your day to be hard and terrible and miserable, then quit saying, I'm so tired and I'm so unhappy. What if you said, I am happy, I am healthy, I am living joyously, I love life and life loves me? Yes, of course, there's going to be hard days, there's going to be challenging times. But what if you expect that you have the power to overcome those challenges? And that's what has made you the person you are. You are strong, you are healthy, you are happy because you have overcome challenges. You have purposeful work. You expect the day to be productive and fulfilling. And if you hate your job, maybe you seriously want to consider changing careers like I did. There are times where you're doing something because it fills your ego, or it's what's expected of you, or people assume that that's what you're going to continue doing, or you were told you have to work hard for a living. Maybe you have spent many years studying and working in a career that no longer brings you joy. Maybe it's time to step back and let someone else take over. Maybe it's time to say, I've been doing this occupation for all these years because my parents encouraged me that way, or my spouse said I had to stay there. If you feel like you're chained to your occupation, your desk, your work, if you feel like you're digging ditches even though you have an office job, maybe it's time to think, what do I really want? Why am I working so hard? What if I could enjoy life without feeling guilty? I'm going to read The Power of Awareness that Neville Goddard wrote in the book, The Power of Assumption. The chapter is called Power of Assumption, and it comes from the little book, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. I've read this a few times, and I want you to really listen to this. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. All that befalls a man, all that is done by him, all that comes from him, happens as a result of his state of consciousness. A man's consciousness is all that he thinks and desires and loves, all that he believes is true and consents to. That is why a change of consciousness is necessary before you can change your outer world. Rain falls as a result of a change in the temperature in the higher regions of the atmosphere. So, in like manner, a change of circumstance happens as a result of a change in your state of consciousness. When you change your consciousness, when you change your expectations, when you change your assumptions, then your circumstances change. Your circumstances don't change when you look at them and wish they were different, when you look at them and pray for them to be different. When you're praying and wishing and hoping and demanding from a state of, I hate my life, the circumstances are horrible, and you're in a low energy, there's no way your circumstances are going to change. You have to change your consciousness. You have to change the state of being that you are in, raise yourself into a higher, lighter state of being, and then your circumstances will change. Being transformed by the renewing of your mind. To be transformed, Neville Goddard says, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas, for you think from your ideas. But notice, you can't have new ideas when you're looking at your current circumstances and complaining about how bad they are. When you look at your current circumstances and talk about how challenging they are, when you're trying to convince everyone else how bad you have it, there's no way you're going to receive new ideas, because you can only attract what you are in harmony with. You can only attract ideas that match your current state of being, your current circumstances. Neville says all transformation begins with an intense burning desire to be transformed. The first step in the renewing of the mind is desire. So you might want the opposite of what you currently have. You might want your circumstances to be different, but rather than complaining you need them to be different, get clear on what it is that you really want. Not what you don't want, not what it is, not how bad things are. If you can't think of what you really want, then what is the opposite of what you are going through? If you want to experience love, joy, happiness, freedom, love, you have to get into that state of being. The first step in the renewing of the mind is desire. You must want to be different before you can begin to change yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. You do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. What would it feel like if you were happy, if you were healthy, if today you were walking into the office and you loved your job and you felt you were doing purposeful work and people respected you and loved you and the circumstances were the way you really wanted? What would that feel like? By desiring to be other than what you are, you can create an ideal of the person you want to be and assume that you are already that person. If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. My mentor, Bob Proctor, used to say that sentence all the time, and he would say, what is the most important word in that sentence? If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. And all over the room, people would raise their hands and they would say, the most important word in that sentence is assumption. And he'd say, yes, you really have to assume, you really have to expect it, but that's not the most important word. And then people would say, oh, persistence. If you persist in the feeling until it becomes dominant, then you're going to change your outside world. And Bob Proctor would say, yes, persistence is very important. You can't just do this occasionally, you have to persist. But that is not the most important word. And people would say, dominant, the dominant feeling. You would have to spend more time in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Bob Proctor would say, yes, you have to have that love, that happiness, that joy, that faith. That has to be dominant. It has to overcome worry, doubt, fear. You want to study so that you overcome ignorance. But dominant and feeling is not the most important words. He's saying the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. Let me say this sentence again. If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. Bob Proctor said the most important word in that sentence is the word if. If. You can't just do this on occasionally and hope that it comes true. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must expect it. You must get into the receiving mode. You must spend time persisting in that feeling, seeing your vision as if it's already accomplished. And the word is if, because most people will do this occasionally and then forget about it. They'll do it when it's convenient. They'll do it every once in a while, or they'll do it for a week and then forget about it. If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. So Bob Proctor couldn't do it for me. I can't do it for you. You must do it for yourself. You must make your future dream a present fact by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. By desiring to be other than what you are, you can create an ideal of the person you want to be. You want to be happy, healthy, wealthy, loved, respected, doing purposeful work. You must want to be and assume that you already are, because you are a spiritual being. You've been gifted with an intellect. You have a physical body. Think about your body as a physical container that you currently reside in. It allows you to use your five senses. You can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. You can interpret your outer world. You can understand your circumstances from your physical perspective, from how you've been thinking, how you've been acting. But if you persist in the feeling of your wish fulfilled until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. Neville Goddard says the ideal you hope to achieve is always ready for an incarnation, but unless you yourself offer it human parentage, it is incapable of birth. You have a great idea. It's welling up inside of you. You want this to happen. Unless you, as a human being, create it in your reality, it doesn't come into your physical being. It doesn't happen. Your attitude should be one in which, having desired to express a higher state, you alone accept the task of incarnating this new and greater value of yourself. You want to be wealthy? It's up to you to get into that state of feeling abundantly blessed. And then you'll get ideas, opportunities that have always been available will suddenly dawn on you. And when you take action, you change your outer circumstances. You start to attract wealth to you. You become a wealthier version of you. When you want to be happy, you can't be in the state of confusion. He makes me so mad. Oh, he makes me so happy. No one can make you do anything. You yourself are responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for everything that shows up in your life. Decide what you want. Get clear and assume that you already are in that state of being. Make it your dominant feeling, and that's exactly what you will experience. because it's inevitable. It's a natural flow from within, so without, as above, so below. The way you think and feel is what shows up in your outside world. You're afraid, you're anxious, you're worried. You're going to find life is fearful. You have all kinds of things to worry about. You assume that you are divinely protected, you're happy, you're healthy, you're calm. From that state of being, you can expect your day to flow easily and effortlessly, to do the productive work, to be happy and healthy. Don't expect and assume what you don't want. Neville Goddard says, in giving birth to your ideal, you must bear in mind that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. You can't just think that things are going to be easy and they're easy. You have to get into the spiritual realm and believe that is meant for you. That is the way it is. Neville says this is a point that is understood truly by probably not more than one person in a million. You know a thing mentally by looking at it from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it and defining it. Whereas you can know a thing spiritually only by becoming it. You must be the thing itself and not merely talk about it or look at it. You must be it spiritually, not just intellectually understand it. You must be conscious of being healthy if you are to know what health is. You must be conscious of being secure if you are to know what security is. Therefore, to incarnate a new and greater value of yourself, you must assume that you already are what you want to be, and then live by faith in this assumption, which is not yet incarnate in the body of your life, but in confidence that this new value or state of consciousness will become incarnated through your absolute fidelity to the assumption that you are that which you desire to be. That means submission of the whole self to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, in certainty that the new state of consciousness is the renewing of mind which transforms. Assume the feeling of a greater life. Assume a new concept of yourself. Use your imagination and start to believe that you are healthy, you are happy, you are wealthy, you are abundantly blessed, you are loved. Get into that energetic state of being and do this over and over and over. Do this often, do this repeatedly. And soon your outer circumstances will change because you have incarnated that into your life. Create a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me in this morning mindfulness practice. Enjoy your day from a higher state of expectation. And I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 7. Thank you.